everybody. This is Lefty79 here with the NFL Stableford League Power Ranking Show after week 6. A little bit delayed this week. Just been a really busy, hectic week with stuff going on, so I'm just glad to be able to get this ranking show together. I had the rankings completed. I just haven't had a chance to sit down and actually do the show. So thank you to everybody who reached out and has taken to these rankings. I'm hoping to keep this one a little bit more abbreviated this week. I'm on a tight schedule here, so I'm gonna probably go through some of these a little bit quicker than normal. But I'll probably try to keep this to around about a 40-minute show if possible. But I know I did mention an announcement this week out on the forums. Uh, the announcement is that after this season, I am probably going to be taking a break. Uh, as commissioner, I will still be available. I'll still be probably playing my rounds as usual. But as far as running anything NFL related after the Super Bowl this year, I'm going to take a break, and probably it will be until everything settles down after the release of EA's game, and probably it will go into, my guess will probably be around early, probably late spring when I'll come back with anything NFL related, because between playing two different games for golf, having TGC tours up and running, all the other side societies that I'm involved in, just with everything, I just think with the NFL, we've seen now that the participation and the anticipation for this league is probably at an all-time high, and the quality of players is probably at an all-time high. And not knocking any of the players that played in the first couple seasons, because many of them are still here, but I just think with the quality of play and what we're seeing right now in the league, it's just unparalleled, and I want to keep that going. And I think that uh, picking up and coming back when the season's actually running, and maybe doing a Stableford Cup, maybe for the summertime, and doing something fun would probably be better than just trying to figure out what game we're gonna play in March when the new game comes out. And if some people drop out of the community or decide not to play TGC anymore, or not play 2K's game anymore and move over to EA because things are better. We'll see. I mean, basically, I have a lot of decisions I got to make too, like regarding where I'm going to be playing my Pixel Golf as well. So I definitely enjoy everything that the TGC Tours community has done to support me in this endeavor, and I am totally grateful for everything. I mean, we're huge right now, and I totally get that, but I won't let that get to my head, and I really do want to provide a good experience for everybody, and I just don't want to make a hasty decision to continue playing a game that people are getting sick of or people are tired of, and I just would like to, change it up a little bit maybe and see where we go in the future. But during that time, I'm going to take a hiatus, beginning with the Super Bowl and heading probably until early, maybe mid May, somewhere around there. I just don't envision picking up, a season or just doing a quick season or anything like that. It's just more, once you get a new game, you're going to want to play it and explore it and figure out all the things you can do and see what the EA community brings to the table. And I think it's just a good idea just to chill for a little while and let things settle down until we decide, going forward what the game of choice is going to be in this league. And I want to have everybody involved as much as possible that we have right now, but I can totally agree or basically empathize with people that are not wanting to play the same game 2 years in a row, and I totally get that. So we're gonna make a decision, or at least I'll make a decision, probably sometime, you know, during the release of EA's game, about what the future of this league is going to be and where it's going to be hosted and where it's going to be going forward. I mean, the Discord will probably stay active. I'll keep everything there. I mean that's the backup really for if we decide to go against TGC or not stay with TGC. I mean, all of you are part of that community, and So am I. So I just don't want to see the fracturing. But when a new game comes out, I can definitely see where lines are going to be drawn or people are going to say I'm not playing anymore or something like that. So I want to minimize that as much as possible. I think we're all adults here, and I think we'll be able to go forward in a meaningful way with this league, and probably kick off with like a doubles competition, like a cup, like something fun, and then lead into the regular season from there next year in August of 2022. Wow, that's a long ways off yet, but yeah, I still, got to plan ahead. So, but speaking of planning ahead, didn't really plan ahead that well this week for this week because I didn't realize how busy things were going to be. But we're going to start off the countdown, and after all that, we start at number 32. It's the Seattle Seahawks at 1-5 of Chris Smith, who is down 2 spots this week from number 30 after a loss at Pittsburgh, 24-22. Now, nothing really bad with that loss, in my opinion. Pittsburgh is a tough team. You were playing on the road. I think it's just the culmination of the losing streak and everything else, and that's where Seattle's where they are right now. I could see them turning things around as fast as this week, as they're playing the Saints, who are also struggling at home. So that's going to be good for Seattle, and we'll see if they can start something new this week, as they are really lacking in the scoring department. They only got 145 points, that, and they've given up 156. So they're in a negative 11 differential. So that really explains a lot there, and you really want to see that start to turn around if you're the Seahawks and the 12th man. But good luck to them going forward, and they are in the basement this week, and next week could be a different story. So as we move up here on the power rankings show, we go to number 31, and it's the Indianapolis Colts, who's checking at 1-5. They're down 7 spots from 24, and that's after a tough loss at home to Houston, division rival, 29-27. Wow, they really got the defense really let out a lot that this past week, and the Texans were able to take advantage of it as the Colts now head to San Francisco, and that's going to be another tough matchup. They got to start somewhere, and that course is difficult. That stadium's a tough place to play out west, and the Colts are going to have their hands full. They're right now 13 below. They're minus 13 in the point differential. They're scoring at a decent rate. It's just they're giving up a ton of points, 164 allowed. They're running into some buzzsaws out on the road and at home. And we'll see if the Colts can finally put together something this week. And if not, it could be the basement, but we'll see what happens. As we now head now to number 30. I said I was going to try to keep these a little brief, but it's the Arizona Cardinals at number 30. It's hard to be brief when you're talking about Art Vandelay, my former doubles partner. But yeah, it's a little bit of a struggle right now for the Cards. They're 2-4, down 2 spots from last week, and they lost at Cleveland 23-20. Just another rough scoring outing for them. 129 points on the year is really tough. That's 6 games worth right there. So they're really having a tough go of it out there. They're not giving up a ton either. It's just one of those things that they're just on the wrong side of these results, and they're minus 8 in the point differential, which isn't that bad, but it's just the scoring output is just not there. It's like the air raid is grounded, and the Red Sea is not parting right now. But we'll see if the Cardinals can turn things around versus Houston this week. Boy, that's a must-win, I think, for both teams, really, to stay in the hunt. But man, the Cardinals just after that division title last year, it seems so far away. But we'll see if the Cardinals can find something here in the middle of the season and maybe turn things around. Speaking of trying to turn things around, we go to number 29. Another team that's really hitting the skids right now, and that's the Detroit Lions. Well, no pun intended. They are from the Motor City, but they're 1-5 as well, and they're down 2 spots this week. They lost at home to Cincinnati, which there's no shame in that. I mean, 30-22, the Bengals put a 30 burger on them, and they've been doing that to a lot of teams. So the Lions shouldn't feel too special about that. But it's just the fact that the Lions have been outscored by a ton this year. They're running into really tough opponents. I think their schedule just that AFC North has done a number on them, and 171 points allowed is the most in the league, and that really can explain a lot. I mean, the Lions are scoring 144, which isn't that bad, but they're 27 in arrears, and that's just really tough to overcome. And we'll see if the Lions can do that this week at the Los Angeles Rams. Well, at least they're back in the NFC, but the competition doesn't get any easier. And we'll see if the Lions can just get back to basics and maybe try to turn this thing around. But wow, it's not going to get any easier for them in Week 7. As we now head up to number 28, it's the Atlanta Falcons. The Dirty Birds come in at 1-4. They're up a spot. They were on bye, so hopefully they're rested and ready to go this week. Uh, Much needed bye, in my opinion. They're 1-4. Uh, they're lucky they're in the NFC South because they're still in the hunt. But they haven't been scoring points like they should be. They're only at 117 through 5 games, which that's a tough way to go. And they're down 22 in arrears in point differential, and all that explains why they're 1-4. So we'll see if they can turn that around against the Miami team on the road that is smarting after their first loss of the season. We'll see if the Falcons can hang another one on them, or if the Dolphins will turn that around and get right back into their winning ways of old. But we now head to number 27, another NFC South participant. It's the Carolina Panthers. Now the Panthers are down 2 spots. They're 1-5. Josiah lost at home against Minnesota 29-26. Not a bad loss. I mean, it's just the Vikings are tough and they'll bring it every week, and the Panthers are still kind of feeling their way a little bit in the league, but they're playing good ball. They're just not getting the bounces I think when they need them, and that's why they're 1-5. Next, they will play at the New York Giants, which, well, they're gonna have to pack a lunch for that one, as the Giants are a tough team to play whenever you play them. But the Panthers are only -5 in point differential right now, so they're competitive in every game, and that's why they're up a little bit higher on this list than maybe they should be being at 1-5. I mean, they scored 153 points, which is the most out of a lot of these lower teams, but they're just having a little bit of an issue sealing the deal and getting that W. I mean, they've allowed 158, so I mean, they're allowing a decent amount of points as well. But we'll see if the Panthers can finally put one together this week on the road at New York Giants. As we head to number 26, and it's Greg's New Orleans Saints. They stay right where they are. They're marching in place after last week having a bye. Uh, Probably a good time for the bye as they're 1-4 in the division. Uh, NFC South, hey, anything goes. You're still in the hunt. You're not really out of it yet. Uh, you're only a game behind your half game behind your division leader. And next you will play at next the Saints will play at the Seattle Seahawks this week, and that's two teams right there that are in desperate need. So someone's going to get some divine intervention this week. Will it be New Orleans or will it be Seattle? We'll find out. But right now, New Orleans is -6 in point differential. Uh, they're playing decent. It's just I think that they're lacking a little bit of that scoring punch. And if they can find it on the road, they got a good chance because Seattle's kind of down on their luck right now. But if they don't, it's just going to be back to the drawing board again in Week 7 or in Week 8. So, but yeah, and when it comes to Week 8, we're going to keep everything the way it is in terms of the handicaps. I actually thought about making some adjustments, and I decided not to. I think that's going to be the way it's going to be the rest of the season. I just think some teams are just not, playing to where they should be, like these lower teams. And I think the opportunities are there to make up ground if you get a little bit of an easier schedule going forward, and maybe put together some solid play. So I think everything is good the way it is, and I want to leave the scoring alone and just roll with it for this season. As we now head to number 25, the top 25, and we are now at the Tennessee Titans, who are 2-4. They dropped 4 spots. Platypus lost at home to Buffalo 27-23. Just ran into a pretty good Buffalo team there and wasn't able to quite get over the hump on that one. Uh, but next, the Titans will play the Kansas City Chiefs at home. So another AFC rival, and it's going to be another test for the Titans. But the hope is that they're in that AFC South. They're not that far back. They're only a game out. So put a couple wins together and pick yourself back up and tighten up and be Tennessee tough and see if you can get that win at home against the Chiefs. Titans are -7 in point differential, so it just comes down to just having some turnovers and inopportune times, and just running into some tough opponents as they've been pretty much in every game for the most part. As we now move to number 24, a big jump this week. It's the Houston Texans of the Taft Man, who are 2-4 after a big win at Indianapolis, 29-27. Got to consider that an upset. Two Xbox players, but Paul wasn't really on form previously, and it just goes to show any given Sunday you could turn it around and get a big win, and all of a sudden you're moving up 7 spots in the power rankings, which is what happened this week. And Paul can continue that momentum as he now plays at Arizona and could be a winning streak. Get excited, Houston. We'll see if that happens, as Paul's only -7 in the point differential. So Paul's been doing a really nice job this year with the changes. Uh, I think he's got a pretty good feel for what's going on, and we'll see. Maybe the Houston Texans will be back in the top 20 again. But we'll find out as they have to get the job done on the field first at Arizona. And next, we head to another Texas team that had a little bit of a stumble last week. And it's not really how about them Cowboys this week. It's a little bit more yikes Cowboys, as it's the Dallas Cowboys at 2-4 after a loss at New England, 28-22. They're down 3 spots. Not really a great performance offensively there. That is a tough place to play in New England, and that team does not make it any easier when you got to keep up with them. And New England puts 4 touchdowns on the board, and you got to match them. And the Cowboys are just one short. They just weren't able to do it as they take that 6-point loss. But the Cowboys are gonna go on their bye week and rustle up some game plans going forward. Right now, they're 13 points in arrears on the point differential. Have had some struggles putting points on the board earlier in the year, but maybe Scott's got things figured out now after this bye week. Maybe the Cowboys will get back to putting some numbers up there that can put them back in the win column. But it's just a matter of getting back in a groove, and with the bye week, maybe that'll help get things going again in the Big D. As we now head to number 22, who will it be? Another team that was at number 1 at one point in this power rankings. It felt so long ago. It is the Las Vegas Raiders of Chinatown, who are down 5 spots this week after losing at Denver 29-26. They're 2-4. I don't think that was a bad loss at Denver. They got clipped by a field goal. A divisional opponent makes it a little bit more tough, as now you're going to have to exact your revenge a little bit later on in the season. But I think Vegas is definitely still in the picture. They're not out of it. They got 2 wins. Generally, they play better at the black hole than they do on the road. And I think that's where the Raiders have to continue that, as now they play the Eagles at home at the Black Hole. Now we'll see if, you know, there's been some big luck on the Raiders side at home by putting up some 30-point outings against some pretty tough teams. And we'll see if that can continue this week, as the Raiders are -5 in the point differential, and they're basically a couple bad bounces away from probably being a 500 team. So we'll see if the Raiders can turn things around in week number 7. As we now head to Blackjack number 21, who do we have? A big leap this week as they do not walk the plank. It's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are up 11 big spots after a win at the Eagles, 26-23 in overtime. Now, that was an impressive win on the road, as the Buccaneers have been in the basement in these rankings the last couple weeks. But now there seems to be signs of life in Davy Jones's locker, as the Buccaneers now will play the Chicago Bears at home, and that's a big NFC matchup for a potential, playoff tiebreaker. So you want to really do the best you can in that one. And right now the Buccaneers are only -5 point differential, but the point output isn't quite there. They're only at 137 points through 6 games, so a little bit lacking there, and you want to see that number be a little bit higher. But their defense has actually been pretty good, and they've only allowed 142. So we'll see if Tampa Bay can pull another big upset this week and keep moving up these rankings. As we now head into the top 20, who do we have? Well, it's a team that did not play a game last week. It's the New York Jets, who are at 2-3. They move up 2 spots. They run a bye, as mentioned. Now they will play at New England. That's a big division rivalry, and that is probably, at this stage in the season, New York that's probably a must-win. I mean, you're already down at least, 2.5 games in the standings. I mean, the division leaders are both at 5-1, and you're sitting at 2-3. So that's right there. You're behind the 8 ball, and I know David knows he's going to have a tough task ahead of him, but he's 3 points up in the point differential. It's just a matter of putting it all together and seeing if the game plan is sound going into the New England, because you know New England's going to be tough, and the Jets have had a week now to think about it, and we'll see if they can come out and put up a big number and maybe shock that Foxborough crowd. As we now move into the top 20, it's now time for number 19, and that's a team I know pretty good, and I don't own them. I don't own their stock, but I do live in the state they play, and I'm a big fan of them. It's the Green Bay Packers, who are 3-3, and they're up 4 spots from after beating Chicago improbably 26-25 at Soldier Field, after probably the worst first half of Stableford you're ever going to watch on Twitch. But the Packers are somehow able to pull off the miraculous comeback, and now have to go home now to face the Washington football team, a team that is going down the list a little bit here as well, and they're having some hard times. But the Packers can't worry about that. They're in a division battle, and they're finding themselves 2 games behind, and will need to try to make up some ground pretty quickly. But the Bears just ran into some bad luck, and the Packers are able to take advantage of it. And right now the Packers are -5 point differential, so just a little bit leaky at times on the defense, but they're still putting up points pretty good. So we'll see if the Packers can continue that momentum at home at Lambeau. As we now head to number 18, a team that didn't move up or down. They stayed right where they were this week. It's the Cleveland Browns. The Dog Pound was happy after the win at home versus Arizona to take them to 3-3 after a 23-20 win. Now the Browns will now play on Thursday Night Football against the Denver Broncos at home. So we'll see how that works out, as that's going to be a tough opponent. And the Browns, on the year right now are maybe a little bit down in the scoring, but their point differential is -3, so they're not really giving up a ton either. So we'll see if the dog pound can bring it this week, and maybe play a factor in that Denver offense. Maybe not getting on track, but we'll see what happens as the Browns stay at number 18 this week. And now we move to another AFC North team as we head to number 17. It is the Baltimore Ravens. Now, this is a tough one. They lost at home to the Chargers 30-29. They're down 4 spots. They played solid. I mean, you lose to a 30-point performance. That's really, you can't hang your head on that too much. Uh, the Ravens moved down 4 due to some of the volatility in the rankings, but they're still a solid team, and I don't think that they can feel too bad about this, as they now will play the Bengals, which is another difficult opponent, and they're playing them at home again. So it's a tough homestand, but we'll see if the Ravens can put together a big performance and maybe upset a team that is really riding high right now in the Cincinnati Bengals. But the Ravens are scoring points at a decent clip. I mean, they're at 158, which, I mean, that's solid. And the problem is they've just given up a lot, which is 163. So they're -5 in the differential. But we'll see if the Ravens can maybe get some bounces to go their way. As we head to the midpoint here of this week's power rankings, who is number 16? Well, it's the Bears. The Chicago Bears check in at 3-3. That's a big drop. They dropped 10 spots after losing to Green Bay at home, 26-25. Now that's got to be tough. That's going to be tough to take. Uh, I really think that the Bears are better than this. They've played lights out many times this season, and they're 12 up in the point differential. I just think that there's times where they've run into some really hard luck, and that's exactly what's been going on. And the record, this is the case where the record and the power ranking really probably doesn't indicate how good the team really is, but it's just a lot of bad breaks that have come to fruition. And now we'll see if the Bears can avoid any more of them bad breaks as they now go to Tampa Bay. Now, this is going to be a tough game for them after a tough loss at home. It's just one of those things where you don't want a hangover, but it could be excusable, especially after giving away a game at home the way they did. And the Packers kind of took it too. So at the end of the day, I think the Bears have room for improvement here, and I just think that this is probably a temporary drop. I don't see them, you know, I don't see them regressing as a team. It just they're playing really well. I mean, it's just a matter of the records. Just they have nothing to show for it. It's like in the Premier League, and you're playing really well, but you just can't put the ball in the goal. I'll relate it that way. And now we head to number 15. We're in the top 15 already. I'm trying to get through this a little quicker this week, so bear with me as we now head to the nation's capital, the Washington football team. 3-3. They're down 7 spots. That's not what you want to see. After losing at home to Kansas City 25-24, that's a tough loss. KC came in there pretty down, but they were able to pull off an upset on the road. And now the football team will have to host Green Bay, another team that's got a lot of luck on their side. So we'll see if the football team can get things back in order, as I'm not used to seeing them down this low in the rankings. It's probably been since the first season. But they're up. They're +2 in the point differential, but it's just a matter of playing, the team that's in front of you, and there might be a couple occasions where the football team just didn't get the job done, and now they find themselves at 3-3. But there's still only one game out in the NFC East, so not out of it yet, and definitely, don't sleep on the football team. They'll be back. As we now head to number 14, and it's the Kansas City Chiefs. who check in at 14 at 3-3. They're up 5 spots. They won at Washington, as mentioned, and now they will play at the Titans, which can't look past the Titans. They're down a little bit after that loss to Buffalo, but this is another team that is fighting in that AFC South, and the Chiefs have their own battle. They're in the AFC West, where it's really everybody against the Los Angeles Chargers right now, but the Chiefs are still trying to find wins wherever they can, and they want to move up in that division. And the way they're going right now, it's starting to look a little bit better, even though they do have a -4 point differential, which is a little concerning. So the defense has been not so great. Well, kind of like real life. But we'll see if the Chiefs can overcome some of that deficiency on defense and maybe put a big number up on the board at Tennessee. We'll see what happens, though, as we now head to lucky number 13, and this is a division rival of those Chiefs. It is the Denver Broncos. They're up 2 spots after a win against the Las Vegas Raiders at home, 29-26. Nice win there. That's a big division win, and that keeps the Broncos a game behind the Chargers right now. And the Broncos now will head to Cleveland, as mentioned earlier, for Thursday Night Football. And the Broncos are +6 in point differential, so they're playing solid, and the results are showing out on the field, which is exactly what you want if you are a Bronco fan. So yeah, that's definitely good. So as we now move to number 12, a team that had a tough loss, but they're still lurking just outside that top 10. It is the Los Angeles Rams. Kevin's at 4-2, drops 3 spots after losing at New York Giants, 27-25. Don had to pull out all the stops in that one, and they did. The G-men were able to pull that one out. The Battle of PC went to Don there, but Kevin didn't play terribly. It just wasn't on the right side of that result. And now the Rams will have to play at home against the Lions, which on paper that should be a Rams win, but they don't play the games on paper. We play them on television screens or computer monitors. So we got to play the game, but the Rams look pretty good. Probably to go to 5-2 after this week, but we'll see. I've been wrong before. But the Rams are +12 in the point differential, so that's pretty good there. But we'll see if Denver, or not Denver, Detroit can come to play this week and maybe give the Rams a run for their money at their out west, because it will be in LA. As we now head to number 11, we're just outside the top 10 here. And we got the Buffalo Bills. Bills Mafia happy after that win on the road at Tennessee, 27-23 this past week. The Bills are up 3 spots. Wings got them playing really good ball right now. The Bills will be going into their bye week, so they can rest up those injuries a little bit, get some new plays into the playbook, and get ready to go for the rest of their season. As they're +5 in the point differential, which is a big reason and a big indicator as to how they turn their season around from some of the early season struggles they had. But now they're only one game out in the AFC East, so the Bills definitely working their way up, and we'll see if they move at all after their bye week, after taking some good rest. As we now head to number 10, and we hit the top 10 with the AFC South leaders in the division at 3-3, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Corey won against Miami at home last week, 27-24. The Jaguars are up 6 spots, so a good move up for them. Exactly what you needed if you're a Jaguar fan. You now are in the driver's seat in that AFC South, which no matter what your record is, you'll get into the playoffs. So it doesn't matter if you end up under 500 or not. But if you're a Jaguar fan, you want to see that team keep putting up good point numbers, and they're +2 in their point differential, and just all you gotta do is just keep beating in-state rivals as well, which that was a big win to knock Miami from the ranks of the undefeated. That was exactly what they needed. And the Jaguars just grinded it out. I mean, there's nothing more you can say about that. Just a bunch of grinders as they now head into their bye week and they're hoping to stay out of trouble and get back and keep moving up these rankings. As we now hit number 9, well, it's a team with a 9 in its logo, in its name. It's the San Francisco 49ers, who are 4-1 and up 2 spots after having a bye week, a nice relaxing bye week. Unfortunately, their baseball team wasn't able to continue on in the MLB playoffs, but now the Niner fans are rallying around the football team here. And in NFL Stableford, they're doing really well. Uh, they're they're scoring decent. I mean, they're not scoring a ton of points, but they're not allowing many either. Their defense has just been locking them down. They're plus 15 in the point differential, which explains a lot as to why they're 4-1 and leading the NFC West right now by a half game over the Rams. But will that continue against the Indianapolis Colts at home? That's the next question. So we'll see if that the Colts are coming off some tough times right now, and the Niners are living pretty good right now. So we'll see two teams on different paths right now, but we'll see if I think we'll have a good. I think this will be a good one. I think the Colts are going to come out and put it all out there, and we'll see if the Niners can match it. As we now head to number 8, and we head back to the east to a state known as Pennsylvania, and we head to the number 8 of the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are 4-2. Pat had a tough loss. Uh, Actually, no, he won. I mean, I'm looking at the wrong thing here. The Steelers won against the Seahawks at home, 24-22. So they're up 4 spots and going into their bye week now. So Big Ben can rest up a little bit. Uh, they're +5 in point differential. So the Steelers pretty much got through the first part of their schedule. I'd say they're on schedule. They're on par for what they needed to be doing. They're only a game out of the AFC North race, and they'd be trying to keep up with the Bengals, which they're doing pretty well. And we'll see if they can keep everybody get everybody back healthy during the bye week and come back strong in week number 8. As we now head across the state to their in-state rival and our number 7 team this week. So the Philadelphia fans are going to have bragging rights as the Philadelphia Eagles check in at number 7 at 4-2. They're down 4 spots after losing at home to Tampa Bay in a tough loss, 26-23. I'm sure uh, that was not good. That's not what they wanted to do, especially against Tampa Bay, who was really down in the basement. But anything can happen when you go to overtime, and the Eagles might have played with their food a little bit too much and ended up losing the game. So with the +7 point differential, the Eagles are looking pretty good there. Uh, they're tied for first in the NFC East right now with the Giants, but now you have to go on the road across the country to the Las Vegas Raiders, who can be tough at home. So we'll see if the Eagles can fly out of the black hole with a win and stay on pace in that NFC East with Don's G-Men. And we'll hear from them in a little bit. As we now move up to number 6, a team that has just been slowly but surely working their way up this ranking, working their way up this list. It is the New England Patriots of Franz, who are 5-1 and up 4 spots. They beat Dallas last week 28-22 in a pretty dominating performance at home. Very impressive. We'll see if that can continue now as now the Patriots will be playing their division rival Jets at home, and the home cooking's been really good for the Patriots so far. So we'll see if that can continue as they're +13 in the point differential. That explains a lot to why the Patriots keep moving up this list and now find themselves locked in a battle in that AFC East with the number 5 team as we head to the top 5. That probably gave it away. But this is where the Miami Dolphins are going to end up after being number 1 last week. The Dolphins are fifth on this week's power rankings, and they check in at 5-1 and dropped down 4 spots from last week after they lost at Jacksonville 27-24. All good things came to an end last week for the Dolphins. The champagne was popped by the 72 Dolphins, and there will not be an undefeated regular season this year in the NFL Stableford League, and that's sad, but at the same time, the Dolphins cannot dwell on it as they have to now face the Atlanta Falcons at home. And we'll see how that goes, but the Dolphins are plus 15 in point differential, so their offense is taking care of business, and the defense is doing just enough to get these wins. So we'll see if that formula continues for the Dolphins as they're now playing a Falcons team that is pretty rested off of a bye week. So can the Dolphins just get right back into the top 5 again, or move back up again? We'll find out, or will there be a hangover? Big questions that'll be answered this week in week number 7 as we now head to the final 4, and the number 4 team in these rankings this week is the New York Giants, which they're 4-2, so their record isn't really why they got here. It's because of the impressive win they had versus the LA Rams. They moved up 3 spots, jumped to number 4 after that 27-25 win against an impressive Rams team that just didn't have enough on the road at the G-Men. So Don continues his solid play at home, and will that continue? Will it still continue as the Carolina Panthers come in to East Rutherford to take on the G-Men? The Giants are plus 21 in point differential. That's a big difference and a big reason as to why they're winning. And that Giants defense is tough, and especially at home. So we'll see if Big Blue can come out with another win and maybe get back up these rankings a little bit, and who knows, maybe threaten for a top spot. As the next 2 teams on this list are both heading into a bye week, and now we hit number 3. And the number 3 team is the Minnesota Vikings, who are 5-1. They are moved up. They're moving up 1 spot after beating Carolina on the road, 29-26. So very high scoring and a good win for them heading into their bye week. And the Vikings are plus 11 in point differential, so they're putting points up at a big clip, 167 points. That is the second highest total in the league, and that explains a lot there as to why they are having such a great season right now in the land of 10,000 lakes. Uh, but yeah, Cousins will get a bye week now. The guys will get a chance to rest, and we'll get to watch the games in week 7. As we now head to the number 2 team in this week's power rankings, who are also relaxing and maxing on their bye, the Los Angeles Chargers at 5-1, the surprise probably of the season so far, leading the AFC West, up 3 spots, a big win at Baltimore, which I don't think anybody saw coming, 30-29, and the Chargers have just been lights out, and they've been impressive. Plus 6 point differential though, so there's an opportunity there to maybe improve, but they're winning when they're putting the points up when they need to, and the results are there in the win-loss column, and you don't really want to change too much, but I guess you could always say you could want more points, but the defense is doing just enough to pull these games out. So congrats to the Chargers and Bino to get that number 2 spot. As we now head to the number 1 team in the NFL Stableford League after week 6, it is Houday in the jungle. It's the Cincinnati Bengals at 5-1, moving up. They moved up 1 spot after beating Detroit. They basically demolished Detroit at 30-22 on the road. It's just impressive with a capital I there. And next they'll play at Baltimore. Now, inside the numbers, the Bengals have scored 176 points. That's clearly tops in the league. by 9. They're +9 over everybody in that regard. They have a point differential of +21. It's just unbelievable how this team has turned around uh, from the doldrums of all the years past, and they're now a very vogue team. They're probably one of the vogue picks to win the Super Bowl now, but we're still only 6 weeks in, so you got to pump the brakes a little bit. But if you're a Bengals fan, you have every right to feel great and feel like this is now the time to really feel good about your stripes and feel good about that team that is playing in Cincinnati these days. So impressive by Jason to slowly work their way up these rankings, and within 6 weeks is now the number one team in the NFL Stableford League. I hope you enjoyed the rankings this week. I kind of had to go through them a little bit quicker, and I hope you have a great rest of the week here in week number 7. Uh, as always, I will have this posted as soon as I am done here, and definitely, have these are always great for conversation. Am I ranked too high? Am I ranked too low? Hey, it's all subjective. It's all for good fun. There's nothing personal with these rankings, but I love hearing the banter. I love hearing the Twitch streams talking about the rankings, and I love that it's become what it is. And I know in years past it was more of a kind of a just a thing to post out on the forums, but I'm kind of glad it's taken on a life of its own here. So, but once again, it's the Cincinnati Bengals at number 1 after week number 6 in the NFL Stableford League Power Rankings. This has been Lefty79, Tyler Parra, the commissioner of the NFL Stableford League, and I'm signing off and wishing you a very good rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon. Goodbye, everybody.